Hey, it's Mo. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. And I am glad to be here. You know, I've been kind of extra busy lately, so squeezing in filming has been a little bit challenging. And then we had a full week of rain, like it was gray for a whole week. And you know, I only film with natural light, so it was like an added degree of difficulty, but doesn't matter, right? Because I'm here now. I love holiday time, and even though it's September, I get it, but the holiday makeup sets start rolling out in September. And this is my first official holiday review of 2020. I'm very excited about it. And this was a little set from Too Faced that it just caught my eye, so I was kind of watching for it to come out. It is the Cinnamon Bear set. This is the carton packaging that it comes in. And I ordered this from Too Faced.com. That was the first place I saw it. I think now it is available at Sephora. I've seen it there also, of course, at Too Faced, and $39 is the cost of this. And you can see on the box it comes with a palette which has eyeshadows and a blush. It comes with a little makeup bag, and then it comes with a full-size melted matte lip in the exclusive color Cinnamon Bear. So we're going to talk about this, and of course I'm going to show you swatches. I'm going to apply the colors. We're going to talk about kind of the ongoing discussion about the quality of Too Faced holiday sets, because there's a lot of people say that like the tin packaging sets that Too Faced releases, for example, their recent pumpkin spice palette, in the tin packaging, people think that's a totally different formula than most of their holiday collections, and they feel that the holiday collections are subpar. So we're going to do a little bit of comparing today and really talk about that, specific, of course, to the Cinnamon Bear set. So Cinnamon Bear, like the whole theme you can see here, they're kind of showing a gummy bear kind of thing, a little red gummy bear holding a heart. To me, fun fact about me, I love old-time radio, like old-time radio. When they used to put on like shows on the radio and people would sit around and listen for entertainment. And to me, Cinnamon Bear is about the Cinnamon Bear, which was an old-time radio show started in, I think, the 1930s. And it aired from Thanksgiving through Christmas, 6 days a week. And it was like an adventure about these two children who were looking for their silver star, and the Cinnamon Bear helped them out. So that, I don't think most people make that connection because they're not nerdy like me, but that's what it made me think of. And then in doing a little bit of research, I didn't know a cinnamon bear was a real kind of bear. Fun fact. So you see, makeup can teach you new things. It certainly taught me that. So inside the box, when you open it up, this is what you pull out. So it is encased in the makeup bag, and inside is the palette and then the melted matte lip. So looking at the bag, it's got the little cinnamon bears on it. This is kind of, it's pretty standard plastic vinyl, beach ball smelling kind of makeup bag. It's a decent size. I mean, obviously it holds both of these things. So I think it's a cute little bag. Do I need another makeup bag? I don't. And if they had sold it without the makeup bag and it would have been a little less expensive, that would have been completely fine by me. But, that's the nature of sets, right? So you get what you get. The melted matte lip right here, as I said, this is as they're saying, an exclusive shade. The exclusive shade, Cinnamon Bear. On the cap, you can see the little cinnamon bears. And that is the color. And it is a full size, by the way. This is a full size melted matte lip from Too Faced. And then the palette, which I'm sure you're interested in. Here's the packaging of the palette, which I thought would be really cute, but I like it even better than I thought. It's actually raised. Let me see. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. You might be able to tell on a reflection that it's like, it's not squishy exactly. It's not squishy, but it seems like it's shiny, and it has like, almost feels padded under the little cinnamon bear. So I thought that was kind of cool. I wasn't expecting that. In the back is just the normal stuff, ingredients or where it's made or that kind of stuff. Open it up. There is a mirror and another little cutie pie cinnamon bear right here. And then this is the palette. It has 8 eyeshadows and 1 blush. And this is, as you can tell, and based on the theme, it is cinnamon leaning. Like, this is a pretty clear cinnamon color we've got going on here. But it's not all red, which it easily could have been. This color's Red Hots, by the way, with that one, that matte that's red. The other ones are, so we've got some kind of plummy leaning, a couple of those. We've got a nice deep, not too deep, but kind of a medium, nice, rich chocolate matte. This is a little bit more of a slightly warm, very pale brown, maybe slightly peach leaning matte. And then this is a white with just, it's got just the tiniest undertone of pink. And I like the name of this one. It's called Cereal Milk. So it's got that little bit of pink in there. So like if you put little red cinnamon bears in milk, it would turn the milk pink. That's my theory. I don't know if that's really why they named it that. And then just one blush. So let's talk about the size. So each eyeshadow pan is 0.8 grams. You know that I consider the standard size for an eyeshadow in a palette to be 1 gram. So they are a little on the smaller side. The blush is 3.5 grams. For a palette blush, I consider that a pretty average size. That's pretty normal. And what I wanted to talk about was what it says on the Too Faced site. So as I said, that was the first place I saw it. I'd kind of been keeping my eye out for it. And when I went to their description on the Too Faced site, it said there were 16 shadows and a total of like 16.9 grams in the palette. Well, I mean, everything I'd seen, like, you know, sneak peeks and all that, it looked to me like there were 8 shadows and 1 blush. And so I thought, well, maybe there's like another side to it. Maybe I'm missing something. But I still thought, I think that's inaccurate. It is inaccurate, so be aware of that if you're ordering from Too Faced. Their description says there's 16 shadows. There are not. There are 8, and there's 1 blush. And there's a total of just about 10 grams if you include the blush and the eyeshadows in the entire palette. So their information is incorrect at toofaced.com, but just know this is what you get. This, I can tell you for a fact. This is the correct information that I'm giving you. So something else that was interesting. On the Cinnamon Bear packaging, it says avoid getting into eyes. This is an eyeshadow palette. By the way, it's not a pressed powder palette. It is called an eyeshadow palette. And it says avoid getting into eyes, which I found really interesting. So then I looked at other Too Faced packaging, and indeed the pumpkin spice palette also says avoid getting into eyes. But when I look back at anything before this, really, it does not say that. It doesn't say it on the gingerbread spice. It doesn't say it on the gingerbread extra spicy. I couldn't find that same information on last year's holiday sets because I keep the boxes and stuff like that. So I don't know if Too Faced is like just being extra careful. I would doubt that they've done something to this formula that's now suddenly bad for your eyes. I'm just wondering if we're gonna see more of that from makeup companies, that they're like, yeah, don't get this stuff in your eye. It doesn't say it's not intended for use around the eye area like you might see on a pressed pigment palette. It just says avoid getting into eyes. I found that very interesting. I'll be curious to see if that's happening from other brands. This is the first I've seen of it. So that's a bit of nerdery out of the way. I think you're probably most interested in, let's start with swatches, okay? So we start with Cereal Milk. As I said, this is kind of a white or a cream with a bit of pink. It's very soft. We have Slow Burn. This is a shimmer, but I think it's more of a satin, and when I've used it, it translates pretty much like a matte. Like I used this in the crease and I had no problem with it at all. Sweet and Spicy is next, a little more brown leaning. And then as I said, that nice matte brown that they included, chocolate dipped. Feels a little drier than that first one, but nothing that I find overly concerning. And as I always say, those light shades don't show up well on me in a swatch because unfortunately they match my skin tone. And I always do live swatches just so you can see how much am I dipping into the pan, You know, there's no question about that because accuracy is really important. And my main purpose here, and one of the reasons I use natural light, is to try to keep things as close to real life as I can. So hopefully what you're seeing here is very close to what you're going to see, you know, if you get the product yourself and you're working in normal human light and not like, you know, studio lighting or whatever. And then we've got the lower level, we've got cinnamon sugar down here, which is also a shimmer. This is that Red Hots I talked about, which is a matte. Pop of Chill, excuse me, Pop of Chili is this one. A little more plummy again. And then that lighter brown shade I talked about is called Bear Hug. As usual, Too Faced does a great job on the names. They're cute, they're adorable, they fit the theme. Too Faced is always really good about that. And there we go. So those are the shades. We've got 4 mattes. 1, 2, 3, 4. But again, this this shade, even though it's a satin, I think it translates very much like a matte on the eye. I really appreciate that there are so many mattes in this palette, particularly from Too Faced. They can go full glitter bomb. So I think they made some good choices. This is not a widely varied color scheme, right? There's only 8 shadows. They're definitely within this like plummy, cinnamony kind of theme. So it's not like you're gonna get 1,000 different looks out of these 8 colors, but I do think they made some smart choices. Like I think having a very light shade makes sense, having a nice deep brown, that's also good. This, for many people, would be a transition color. Of course, that's always gonna be dependent on how deep or light your skin tone is. And the shimmers are just shimmers. They're not extremely metallic, and there are no pressed glitters. In fact, there's no glitter in this entire palette, which I was extremely happy to see. I do not like pressed glitters, so I was glad about that. Oh, and I'll swatch the blush. That is called Cinnamon Bear, and as you can see, it's a pretty cool pink. It's not a super blue pink, but it's pink. And it's swatched, I mean, that's a blush swatch. Blushes usually swatch quite a bit lighter in terms of pigmentation. So you can tell that blush's got some punch to it. And you can see the difference in how pink that is compared to the more reddish, plummy, cinnamonish leaning tones. And so I did actually try to compare these to some of the shades in the gingerbread and the gingerbread extra spicy just to see if there were any dupes. I didn't find any direct dupes. I found a couple that maybe were in a similar color family, but they didn't really look the same. Like that one was kind of in that color family. Even things like this that are like a warmer brown. Similarities, but not the same. I definitely was not able to dupe this palette using gingerbread spice, gingerbread extra spicy, and pumpkin spice. I had all 3 of them out, and I wasn't able to duplicate these colors even using all 3 of those palettes, which I found interesting. Just eyeballing this, I would have thought, man, I probably have those colors from Too Faced already. So I don't, and the main reason I did that was to compare the swatches and the formula. Now, can I guarantee that the formula in the Cinnamon Bear palette is identical to the formula in the tin palettes? I cannot. But when I swatched them side by side, I found the quality to be very, very similar. Very similar. I didn't feel like, oh, the gingerbread palettes are so much better, or the pumpkin spice is so much better than the Cinnamon Bear palette. I thought they were pretty similar. So, and again, does Too Faced actually have more than one formula? I don't know. I mean, a lot of people speculate that. It certainly seems plausible because some of their holiday sets don't seem as good. I don't think I'd put this one in that category. And that's specifically why today I wanted to actually apply these. I don't do that a lot, but I felt like that might help you determine if you think, you yourself think the quality is similar or the same or good enough for you to purchase a set like this. You know, it's always going to start with the color story, right? Are those colors you would even wear? If not, maybe you want it for the packaging. that's fine. I do not judge about why people choose or do not choose makeup or collect makeup or whatever it is. That is entirely up to you, and it's entirely up to your budget. You're the only one who knows that. So I think we're gonna go a pretty obvious route today. I'm gonna take Bear Hug, which is kind of that, like I said, for me would be a transition color, and put that just in the transition area here. I only dipped in once. As always, I'm using my Wayne Goss eye brush set. I do that mainly so that I'm being consistent from video to video, and I think that helps you know if things are performing, you know, similarly, because if I'm using different brushes all the time, it adds a variable, right? So I just dipped in once to that. Really quick blend. And as always, I'm not going for any big, like, amazing look here. I'm really showing you the performance of the shadows. Now I'm just gonna keep it really simple. So Bear Hug is the only thing I've used so far. I've used this a couple of times, and I'll put up the pictures here. And the only shade in the palette I have not used actually is Red Hots, so it seems like I should use that today. It's red, so we're going to get a red look, certainly. But let's see how it performs. And again, as I said, at least according to the information, this is not considered a pressed pigment palette, and a lot of times with red and even purple shades, they call them pressed pigments. So for what is, at least according to Too Faced, not a pressed pigment, and this is a reddish shade, it's performing quite well. I'm actually kind of glad this isn't just like, you know, desperate red the second you dip into it, because sometimes that can be a little intimidating. I feel like all the colors I've used them all now. They have nice payoff, but they blend pretty nicely too. I haven't had that experience that they blend away. They go on pretty effortlessly. Oh, and why did I get the palette? Totally drawn in by the packaging. As I said, that Cinnamon Bear radio show. I also thought it was kind of cute. Oh, I want to talk about the scent, because it says it's scented like cinnamon, and I had seen someone comment they wondered if that would irritate their eyes, which seemed like a totally valid concern. I don't get cinnamon at all when I smell this. It's very light, first of all, compared to other, like, you know, gingerbread or pumpkin spice. As soon as I open those, like, you know, the scent. This I did not. I kind of have to get in there. And it's kind of a nondescript, maybe sort of like cinnamon, but it doesn't smell like cinnamon gum. It doesn't smell like cinnamon candy. It's pretty faint, and it's not very sharp. And I haven't noticed it at all. When I'm putting on the shadows, I don't smell it at all. So if that's helpful to you and you were concerned about that. So again, keeping this simple, just showing you how they perform. So that's Red Hots on the outer corner. You'll notice there's no light shimmery shade in here. The lightest shade is this Cinnamon Sugar. So that's, you know, if I'm being completely picky, that's the one thing that I would want in this palette, is a light shimmery shade in addition to what's here. But again, that's just, you know, I didn't design the palette, so I'm not making those choices, but I did want to point that out if that's important to you. In my case, I feel like I have a bunch of light shimmery shades. Would be very simple for me to just grab one and pop it on if I want like a little bit of something in the center of the eye or that kind of thing. Oh, and I am using my finger on this Cinnamon Sugar, by the way. You probably noticed that. That's generally how I apply shimmers, and these apply quite nicely. And then the only other thing I was going to do, if I can find my brush, I was going to take cereal milk and sort of blend up in here and toward the brow bone. And again, you're not going to see this shade much on me, because that kind of light pinky shade tends to kind of match my skin tone. So there's that. And there are other things I could do, right? I could definitely take this chocolate dipped in. I could deepen up the outer crease. I could use that as a liner. I've had really good luck with this little palette, more than I anticipated. I have the same question most people do. Like, is the quality going to be any good? Or is it just going to be cute and then I'm going to regret, that I got it because it's not that good? I actually really like it. I wanted to show you the blush because as we saw in the swatch, this blush has some color to it. Like the first time I put it on, I was a little shocked. Look at that. It is pink and it is not here to play. You could absolutely go in with, a less dense brush. This is a BK 107, BK Beauty 107, which I've been using quite a lot for bronzer or for blush lately. It's a little big for blush for me, but it's what I had at hand actually. But you could go in with something that's a little more airy, a little more airbrush seeming. But what's interesting is and this is really typical for me when I put on blush, it's gonna look ridiculous. But then when I come back, after I've done my lips, it may look significantly more toned down. But I wanted you to see that color right off the bat, it's got color. I considered that a good thing because I especially think things like, blushes and stuff, a lot of times they're just kind of lackluster in these kinds of palettes. By the way, I haven't cut my hair since, I don't know, January or February or something. And so normally I have little curls here, but my hair's gotten so long, I pull it all back now. Someday I'll get it cut again. Not sure when. So that was just one go, one dip in the pan on each side. So I definitely want you to see that blush. I love pink blush. I like a cool pink blush. Not everyone does. I certainly do. So that works really well for me. The one thing I have not used yet is the Melted Matte Lip. You can probably see in the tube here, it's a little warm. So again, that kind of cinnamon theme. I have certainly used the Melted Matte Lip in other shades before, just I have not had an opportunity to use this shade yet. So I figure let's put it on now. Okay, so not the most elegant job I've ever done on that. Got a little bit on my finger and then got it here. So that's totally user error. That is not the fault of the lip color. So kind of a velvety warm red, I'd say. And that has dried down already, the lip. I don't typically wear a lot of long wear lip color just because so many people, it makes my lips feel dry. But if I'm going to choose one, I do kind of like this melted matte format. Oh, and by the way, I didn't mention the scent of this. Again, I don't get cinnamon. I get something, but it's not cinnamon. But again, I'm not smelling it at all on my lips. So there's everything. And that was easy to apply. Everything went on quickly, So, and the little, let's not forget, lest we forget the adorable little makeup bag. So I was hopeful that I would like this set. I was drawn to the colors. I enjoy, as I said, a pink blush and that kind of thing. There's everything from the Cinnamon Bear collection from Too Faced. Too Faced.com has it. Don't believe their description though, because it's wrong. You can also find it right now, at least on Sephora. And I'm really pleased with it. For me, the formula is equivalent to the tin packaging palettes. And if you like the colors, which is of course going to be the number one thing, I think this is a great little palette. And I do think, excuse me, a great little set. And I think this would be super cool to get as a gift. I would love to get this as a gift. You know, it's cute. It's a nice size to wrap and put under the tree. I think it's great. So I'm all for it. Me and Cinnamon Bear. We're just going to go hang out for a while now. I hope that was helpful because that is always my only purpose here. I hope you are at peace today. And I will talk to you soon.